to our second annual Playlist Live. We've got some really, really cool panels with some really, really cool people. And we're going to be talking about all sorts of cool stuff as far as the business end of YouTube goes. Online video, social media, all those cool buzzwords that, you know.
Viral!
Viral, synergy.
I'm sorry.
Marketing. It's going to be a lot of fun. This really is a two-way conversation. We're going to try and do some questions on just about every single one of these panels. Yeah, thank you so much for coming. Like, this is such a big deal to us. Online video, we, as well as many of you here, we really believe that we're living through the most important change in media since the internet started and started becoming something that people like us could use. So we're really just excited to see all these, you know, people on the bleeding edge figuring this stuff out all together, and we can't wait to see where this all goes. Let me pass it over to Will, who's going to be moderating this thing and just kind of like introducing everybody, and we'll go from there.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. How's everybody doing? Awake? Yes? Yes? Good. Cool. All right, so we have a bunch of panels that we're going to be having today, and I'm very happy that we're starting off with this one, which, just so everyone knows, following along, is keeping your content fresh without losing your core audience. And I think that we have a lot of people that can speak to that, but I'm going to let them all introduce ourselves, starting with you, Johnny. Would you like to take it over, introduce yourself?
I would love to, Will. By moving this mic slightly closer. I am Jonathan Paula, along with my buddy here, Jory Karen. We run the JPizzle1122 channel. We both have personal channels named after our first names. And we do everything from vlog to review movies to blowing stuff up in microwaves, throwing things off decks. Jory has a show where he just opens his mail for an hour with his viewers. So we do everything under the sun on YouTube that can be done. And we've been having a good time with it the past few years. Yes.
Excellent sidekickery.
It's hard to follow up. My name is Mike Falzone. I run a channel called Mike Falzone. And I started out...
Innovative, Mike.
It's not bad. It's not bad. I consider myself a mogul. Yeah, I started out doing like covers and stuff like that, and now it's graduated into comedy. I'm sorry, I was on your notepad. And now I do a show where I dress up as Batman, and I prank phone call people, and I give advice.
Exactly what Batman would do.
I assume so.
Hey guys, my name is this on?
Yeah.
My name is Dan Dobie. I run a show or channel called Dan Dobie. I have several shows on my channel. One is a prank calling show. One is Dunkin' Rocks. One is just a vlog thing that I do. And what are the other ones that I do? Well, that's the prank calling one. And then, yeah, that's what I do. I do a few shows on my channel.
Hello, my name is Joe, and I have a channel called Mystery Retirement.
Okay, so since we're talking about keeping, you know, an audience where you're diversifying your content, I think I really want to open with you, Johnny, because I think people would know you as, you know, it's a good idea to microwave this, but you've branched out and you do movie night, you do, you know, so many other different things. At what point did you decide that you wanted to start branching out, and, you know, was it strategic? Like, because I think most people on YouTube, when they find, you know, they do something well, they don't want to deviate from it. What made you want to begin to deviate from it and figure that whole situation out?
Yes, I'll try to take that point by point. I started on YouTube in April of 2006. I've been doing video since 2001 though, and that's when it started. I didn't want to do one thing. When I got involved early on in video, I fell in love with so many different aspects of it. And when I started becoming successful on YouTube, I was really worried about being pigeonholed as, you know, the microwave guys. So I was conscious of that, and I made sure early to also produce other shows like Movie Night, Roller Coaster Commotion, and we started doing more comedy sketches. We launched our own second channels, and we started doing vlogs and game commentaries and things like that. So early on, I was aware that I don't want to just do one show. That is probably from a strategy standpoint, probably your best bet early is to build an audience with one show and keep it consistent. But that's not any fun for me. So I was like, first and foremost, I was looking out for myself early. I just wanted to have fun and make sure that I didn't get bored of my own content and I didn't get sick of doing what I love. Because when you stop having fun doing this, it's not worth it anymore. So as long as I was having fun, I was just glad that my audience was able to stick around with me.
Right. And so how many different channels do you run, I guess?
Technically, I think the number is 8 in my network, but realistically, I only really manage 2 or 3 of them.
Okay.
Jory has 1 or 2 himself. Our other friend Riley, I think, still sleeping right now. He has another channel for himself.
Shame, Riley.
So I kind of run the whole network and oversee that, but I personally only do about 2 channels, and I like to keep that small. I would only do 1 if I could, but too many people are like, this shit sucks, put it on the other channel. And so I like to branch it out a little bit so I can have 2 separate audiences.
I think you begin a point there that I want to follow up with Dan, because Dan, you have a channel where you have a lot of different content that lives on it. What was, do you ever feel like you want to branch your different shows off onto other channels? Are you happy with all of your different shows living on your main channel? What is your opinion for second channels versus keeping everything on the main channel?
That's a great question. It's something I think about all the time, and it's totally a catch-22. And I have, like I said before, like 5 shows on my channel. I'd love to do that, but right now for me, it's tough. I mean, everyone thinks, oh yeah, putting up a YouTube video is simple, but it's really not. It is a job, and even when you're sitting and waiting for it to upload, it's like just waiting for it to upload and then put up a new thumbnail and then add all the tags and stuff. It's a job, and it takes up a lot of time. I would love to do that, kind of separate it, because if like another show that kind of pops up that people aren't used to, they kind of get upset. The internet gets upset if you change something.
And they let you hear about it.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know the right answer to that. Right now I'm just kind of putting it all on one thing, and I hear about it, and it's weird because the negative comments kind of, when you get them, they kind of stick out a little bit more, but I try not to let it bother me and just kind of like take a deep breath and be like, it's okay. I'm just going to keep uploading on one channel. But it's working out, but I don't know the right answer to that, but yeah.
Mr. Guitar Man, do you have an answer for that? Because I mean, you've been doing YouTube for a long time and you have your own second channel. At what point do you think people should start a second channel? Because I feel like a lot of people have second channels that they don't even utilize. And at what level, I guess, of viewership or audience do you have where you start branching off, or are you happy keeping everything on a main channel?
Right. It's tough to start a second channel because you build it takes a really, really long time and a lot of effort to build up an audience for your main channel. And then you're going to be dividing your time between 2 different things. I think that it is a smart idea to go into a second channel with one offshoot idea that's doing really, really well. For example, so...
just a little feedback, just a little hello. Just a little feedback.
So I think that, the Annoying Orange was a smart second channel. I think that ERB, the Epic Rap Battles, was a smart second channel. And also, you want to make sure that you have a second channel if you've just grown your main channel audience. And you want to do things like behind the scenes, or you want to do just vlogs that aren't something that you want to try to do, but isn't what your entire audience isn't. They don't need to see that. For example, not everyone. You'll be surprised to know that not everyone wants to know what I'm doing every second of my life.
Really? There's someone out there that doesn't want to stalk you.
Exactly. It's weird.
We learned something today.
So yeah, so I started putting up my vlogs on my second channel. And not everyone cares how I've made a video, so I put up my behind the scenes on my second channel. So I think that keeping your main content to one channel is smart, right? And then if you have one offshoot idea that takes off really well, then they create a second channel for that.
Very cool. Mike, I want to let you get in on this as well. How do you decide to start doing something different? Because I mean, you did covers for a long time, and then you started, experimenting with different things. And when an audience is set on one thing, how do you try and convince them that this other thing you're doing is cool too?
I think doing other stuff kind of just comes out of you were saying, just like getting bored and not wanting to get bored. And I was doing covers and I was kind of getting bored with it. You know, it's a challenge to find a song every week, and you know, there's friends of mine like Megan Tonjes who does it really well, and then friends like me who kind of have ADD and really don't want to do it anymore. And then it's hard. It's a scary thing because you don't know how people are going to react. Like one day I found a Batman mask in my upstairs closet, and I had no recollection of buying it. So I was like, okay, I just did a Say Anything cover yesterday, and now I'm gonna put up a sex advice video as Batman. So we'll see how this kind of works out. But I think a lot of things, something that like really helped me pretty much the whole time was being engaged with my entire audience every step of the way. Like, I try really hard to answer every single comment, so you kind of always know what they're thinking, so you're gonna know exactly how many people you're gonna alienate, which is a good number.
Be aware of that number.
No, I think that's a good point. You know, Johnny and Troy, I'm gonna let you get into on this as well. Like, how much time do you spend in your comment section really figuring out who your audience is and making sure that you are, I mean, is it a balance to make sure you're satisfying the people who are loyal and have been with you for a long time versus trying to, you know, not go viral, but make content that, you know, maybe a different demographic or a more general audience would enjoy?
As far as staying, you know, on top of comments, it's a delicate balance between listening to your audience and at certain times going, you know,
I know what's best.
Yeah, I know what interests me, and I'm not just going to listen to you on everything, because then it's just, there's no fun in it, like you said.
Right.
We've been dealing with a lot of it with the microwave show. Every 10th comment will be, bring back the microwave show. That's great. I know you really appreciated the show, but the fact
We
that
love
you're-
that you do.
Yeah, the fact that you're saying bring it back tells me that we did like the right decision in stopping it, because we left it with a good taste in your mouth.
Right.
That sounds wrong, but so I mean, you want to listen to your audience, but you also have to remember that they're going to cling on to certain things because it's just what they'll say. It's appropriate for them to say, I really liked this show. It's popular for them to say, I really liked this. But if you listen to that every time, you'll find yourself stuck in a loop.
Yeah, and the thing is, if you
And not keeping your content fresh.
and if you stay with one show, and if we had never ended the microwave show, we would never have time to try out these other projects, which all have been really successful too. So it's the kind of thing like, yeah, you like this show, but if we didn't get a chance to experiment and to try and to branch out, we wouldn't have also seen these other 6 shows.
Right.
So our entire personal channels were like as a result of us kind of dialing back on the main channel content, and those channels are both really successful now. So they might say like, oh, I wish you did more stuff over here, and so on the one hand, they might say, I wish you kept doing more stuff over here, but if we were to stop our vlogging, they'd be like, well, bring that back. I love that stuff too. So it's a very difficult balance to make the fans happy while also simultaneously alienating the other half of them.
Right, I mean, what was the process? At what point did you start thinking, oh, you know, we want to retire the microwave show? Was it,
Around
you know,
the 300th episode.
around the 300? And that's what I'm saying, because I mean, there's only so many things you can microwave.
There's an unlimited number of ways, but there is a very limited number of ways you can go and make it entertaining.
Yes. You know, we had made every joke possible 6 times by the time we got here. And we had this discussion seriously many times over the life of the show, like, at what point do we need to wrap this thing up? Like, we've already kind of beaten the dead horse and jumped the shark a few years ago. So at what point, and then like, when we were kind of thinking, we knew it to ourselves, we're like, when is the audience going to notice that this is all the same crap they've seen? So as we were approaching that, it's like, let's just get to 300, a nice round number, and then call it a day, big finish, and then we'll just close the door and then move to something else.
Cool. Yeah, no, I mean, that's a good point, but Joe, I think I want to come to you on this next thing. How do you keep your content so fresh week after week? Because I mean, you've been doing YouTube for a long time and making the same, you know, style of video. How do you make sure that you're tweaking something, adding something, maybe taking something away? How do you constantly keep innovating, you know, kind of the same brand?
Right. Yeah, it's a lot of what they said. It's half about listening to your audience and half about your own intuitions. The first stop motion video that I ever did was called Guitar Impossible. And
was how long ago?
Was in YouTube years, around 20 years ago. So as soon as that came out, all the people who were subscribed to my channel, who was around 25,000 people back then, were like, what is this? This is a copy of this video, and like, don't ever do stop motion ever again.
I think there's a lot of people glad that you did not listen to that.
Yeah. Or like when I started making looping videos, all the people that had found me through the stop motion were like, what is this? Go back to making your stop motion videos. And then I started, doing like longer form content, and they're like, go back to shorter form content. So like whatever you do, and like now whenever I put up a stop motion video, people are like, go back to looping videos, and then I put up a looping video, and people are like,
Whatever you give them, they want the opposite.
Yeah,
Or at least some part of it.
2.5 million people is a lot of people to make happen.
I think it's important when you're listening to your audience, pay more attention to the people who are reaching out to you, not on YouTube, but on like Twitter, because those are the more loyal people who are trying to find you. Well, they'll find you off of YouTube and try and engage in dialogue that way. On YouTube, you'll get a lot of first, and if you listen to those comments, you find that it doesn't relate to your videos at all.
Right.
So the people who are reaching out to you on Twitter, I put more weight in their suggestions.
Yeah.
Facebook as well, but after the recent changes on Facebook. I think that's an important point to bring up is find the audience that has your best,
The diehards, the core audience, those are usually people that...
the ones who will stick with you, and even if you put out a bad video, they'll say, oh, that was a bad video, you shouldn't do that, go back to this. Those are the ones who I listen to more.
Okay.
But won't wait.
Yeah, that's a lot of it too, knowing when you've made a mistake. Because like, a lot of the times, within the first like 50 comments, someone's like, oh, this should have been titled this. I'm like, oh, it's right, it should have been titled I can change.
I find more spelling mistakes in my own videos through the first 50 comments than I ever do with spell check.
Yeah, so I think it's a lot of your own intuition too. So like, knowing what to do next is always tough. But as long as people on YouTube are being involved, so for me, I do a lot of things where I'm like, send me a picture of yourself doing this, and then I put it all into a big mosaic. Or, trace this image, or go hide this sticker somewhere in your town. As long as you're involved in it, because that's what is fun about YouTube, right? Because you can't go up to, I don't know, like, what's your favorite TV show, House? And Hugh Laurie, could you do this differently? He would have just been like, no.
He doesn't even have the control over that kind of thing. He's just the actor.
Exactly, yeah. So on YouTube, if you leave a comment saying, could you do this differently? There's a good chance that the person's going to read that, especially if it's a popular opinion. For example, a lot of people are saying like, do dubstep. So I was like, all right, I don't like dubstep, but
I do not like that drop.
So I actually tried out a video, and I had fun making it, and it's a really popular video now. So yeah.
So you were right to listen to them.
I was right to listen to them, but I wasn't right to listen to the people who were like, stop making stop motions. Stop motion. Stop motion. So yeah, it's a careful balance.
Very cool. And how much do you guys use your insight to kind of figure out where you should go next? Does that what role does that play into your videos? Mike, Dan?
Troy just made a hilarious comment.
Nice.
He said, how do you find that? And I think that is a huge part of it. It's like when I figured out where it was, I spent like a day and a half on it. I was like, ooh, graphs. I remember that.
I remember these from school.
Yeah, tried to make little hyperboles. That's not a thing. No, but I think, I look more heavily on some stuff than others, like the retention rate and where people just
Right, exactly. That hot spots, I think, is what it's called. When's your audience watching the most, and then when's it dropping down?
Well, if you're good, you get hot spots.
And then you judge
Jumping the gun.
You judge yourself. You're like, oh, they like the right side of my face more than the left side.
Never shoot the left side. Look at the drop.
It always gets back to dubstep.
But yeah, Dan, since you have so many different shows, and you can really, I think, insight benefits you more than anybody else. Like, how do you use that to gauge the interest on the different shows?
Well, I know it's there, and I've looked at it, and I've tried to study it and kind of just analyze it and see what's what. But at the end of the day, I just it's almost just because I do so many shows, it almost just doesn't make sense. I mean,
lot of it's
I look at,
overwhelming.
what was that?
A lot of it's overwhelming. Sometimes.
Yeah, a lot of it is overwhelming, and I look at it and I say, all right, and it's, if you break it down into a million pieces, which is good for some people, but for me, whenever I do it, I just say, you know what, at the end of the day, I just want to put out what I want to put out, and if these guys don't want to watch it, that's okay. So, I know it's there, it's super helpful, but I'm being interrupted by this. Now, come on.
Would you like to take a phone call on this panel?
Time to wake up, Jordan.
Yeah, it's there. It's great for some people, but at the end of the day, I mean, for me, I just want to put out what I want to put out. So I don't really study too hard into it. But it's
I
good that it's
usually
there.
don't let the inside really dictate my actions. I help it. I use it to like improve my actions that I've already decided on. But I'm not going to see something in the hotspots or the audience retention or demographics that say like, well, I have a 77% male demo on movie night. I probably should start appealing to women more. And I don't look at that and then draw that conclusion. I'm just noticing, all right, that's good information to know. I'm aware of it, but there's not a lot I can do, at least not that I'm aware of, to directly just flip that and change it in such a way like, all right, my audience retention drops off at the end. Is there a way to just make the video with an explosion for some reason?
When you see,
it's tricky.
No, I know, but like when you see something like 77% male, is your reaction, oh, I need to do something to appeal to a female demographic, or is your reaction, I need to start going after action movies and movies with like the latest hot actress so that I reinforce that demographic?
It's usually the latter. I'd rather reinforce what the audience I already have rather than upsetting the 77% to try to tailor to the other 23. So
99%.
Does everybody else agree with that? That you want to not necessarily flip your demographic, but make sure you're building on top of it?
I have one video that my whole demographic changed after one video. It was mostly girls, I beg you. I put out a video called Why Women Date Assholes, and then it flipped like a lot. And so I was like, oh, do I have to start like grabbing my crotch and spitting more, like growing out my beard? What do guys do? And then I didn't, and then I just kept doing whatever. But I thought about it for a good amount of time.
Very cool. Well, I want to take a couple of questions from the audience before we have to wrap up. If anyone has any questions. Kevin, you have your hand up.
I've been thinking about this for a while. What is the riskiest thing you ever did with your channel to everyone?
Ooh, the risk. Okay, let's go down the line. Riskiest thing you ever did with your channel?
Definitely ending like Red Show. That was almost unprecedented at the time. To take a show that had been on the air for 4 years and just stop it cold and be like, sorry guys, we're tired, we don't want to do this anymore. We're going to do a live performance on Sunday in the main hall, but besides those like live events, we don't really do it anymore.
And no plans to bring it back?
No. I've very emphatically said like, no, it's done.
Is it a good idea to conventionalize this?
We bring it back from time to time to keep the diehards pleased, but aside from just like reunion specials, no, we're not going to bring it back.
Yeah, I think that was, I remember when you did that, it was a very gutsy move of, you've got this, nice gravy train going, and all of a sudden you want to shake up the conventional wisdom.
And honestly, it may not have been the smartest idea from an audience standpoint or a monetization standpoint, but from our standpoint, I just didn't want to get stuck doing something that I was no longer enjoying.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. YouTube is not, I think people have to keep remembering, I have to keep remembering at least YouTube's only like 7 years old. Like
yeah.
Most people have only been doing it 3 or 4 years, and at some point people are going to probably, not get bored, but get exhausted and need to choose something different. But keep going down the line. What's the most riskiest thing? Yes.
No. I think the most daring thing to do on YouTube is kind of off YouTube, and it's making the transition to doing YouTube full time, and that goes a long way with keeping the content fresh. I want to bring it back to that keyword. Because once you decide I'm going to do YouTube full time, then your mindset is changing, where it's like, what do I have to do to keep my audience watching my videos?
It becomes a lot more serious.
Yeah, that's like, I think the most risky thing you can do, is say I'm going to do this full time. Now, most of it has to still be what interests me, but also I have to pay rent.
You've got bills?
Yeah, we all got bills, man. We all got bills.
I was was gonna take the easy way out and just agree with you. Now I'm gonna make up something else. I would say the riskiest thing to do is to start one. I hate to be that guy who's all like totally symbolic, or I don't think that's the right use of symbolic. But I think I don't know. I'm gonna write it down.
I was about to say hyperbole, symbolic. You're using a bunch of words there.
That's what I do. There's so many words that I use incorrectly.
To be the on the mode video.
No, but I'd say start one. So many people are like, oh, I want to do it too, and I'm like, just do it, man. And it's I guess it's really not much of a risk. It's just, you know, you gotta sacrifice your time. You gotta put your all into it.
It's a leap of faith to kind of.
Sure, then I'm sticking with the answer. Good answer.
Getting sponsored by Nike was a tough.
Yeah, just do it, you guys.
Kind of mentioned this earlier, but just starting something new on your channel, and on my channel, it's not always me. I'm only actually in one of the shows out of the 5 things that I do. 2 of them actually. Well, my voice is in one of them, the prank calling thing. Sometimes my voice isn't in it. But no, starting something new, and I guarantee that like if anyone here put out something new on their channel, the first 50 comments would be just, what the hell is this? And it's just, you know, it's a risk that you have to take, and you know, you have to kind of go in, you know, at first knowing that people are not going to like the change, and they're going to just say, what is this? This is not what I'm used to, and it just blows people's minds. And so I think the riskiest thing to do for me is just make a new show, but at this point I think people are kind of accustomed to it, with my channel at least. So yeah, I would just say starting something new would be like the riskiest thing. But I've already done it with my channel, so it's okay. I'm used to people hating on the new stuff, but give it a month and people get used to it and they like it.
I think that's actually an interesting point. How long do you know, when you're starting something new, how long do you give it to be accepted and be successful? You know, do you give yourself kind of like I'm going to try this, and if after a month or 2 it's not working out, I'm just going to, you know, stop at cold turkey? Do you have any kind of that mindset of time frames?
Well, for me, I mean, on my channel, Dunkin' Rocks will always be like the bread and butter, and for the first kind of like 8 months that, you know, my channel existed, it was just Dunkin' Rocks, and then after that, I mean, I would upload other shows and sketches and stuff, and it's kind of just unpredictable to see what's gonna do well and what's not gonna do well. And some of the other shows, like you know, Star 6-7, which is the prank calling show, it still does not get the views that Dunkin' Rocks does, but you know, I'm still continuing to do it, so it's more of like a thing that, you know, I know that not necessarily my audience likes, but I know that like my friends like it, and whenever I post it on like Twitter or Facebook, I do get a lot of people saying like, you know, this one is like one of my favorite shows. You know, Dunkin' Rocks is good, but I really like Star 6-7, or I really like, you know, your vlogging, so just continue that. So
well, first and foremost, you're proud of what you're doing.
Yeah. So
I think that's what's important too. That as long as you like it and you're proud of your work, I mean, you can't. And obviously, if everyone hates it, you probably should stop doing it.
If everyone hates you, you should probably stop doing it.
But inherently, there is an audience for something for everyone on YouTube. I mean,
that's a great point.
Yeah. There are channels of people that just ride elevators and videotape them going up and down,
And they're very successful.
Not really, but they have. I mean, there are audiences for even the most smallest of niche subjects. So as long as you're proud of what you're doing and you have an audience, and then for us, as long as we can also sustain income, I think you've hit all 3 points you really need to.
And Joe, wrap us up. What's the most dangerous, risky thing you did with your channel?
Most risky thing, I think that was starting my my channel where I ride elevators up and down. No, 2 things. I think one was switching from doing twice a week, putting up videos on Tuesdays and Thursdays, to just putting up videos on Thursdays. That's risky because it cuts my cuts the amount of videos that I have by half, you know. Right. So, but I wanted to focus on higher quality stuff, you know, because at the time I was doing videos on Monday.
I remember how exhausted you were doing videos Tuesday and Thursday. It was racking your brain pretty hard.
It's one of the reasons why I wear my glasses. Yeah, so like I would produce the entire video on Monday, get that done sometimes at 4 o'clock in the morning, post it on Tuesday, and then produce the entire video on Wednesday, post it on Thursday, spend Friday, Saturday, Sunday promoting it, and, you know, reading comments and seeing what I can do different, and then next week, you know, doing it all over again. Now I have time to shoot tests, I have time to get locations, get props, get doing things like this stunt video that I just put up. I would never have been able to get done in a day. You know, so that was pretty risky. And I think the other one was doing a 5-part series called Once Upon on my channel, where I had like actors and writing and character development. Where it wasn't just, oh my God, look. It was different. And a lot of people were like, wow, go back to this. And a lot of people were like, wow, that's great. I'm glad that you're trying something different and trying something new, because if you get bored with it, then people are going to know that you're bored with it, and then they're going to get bored with it, and it's like this
a vicious cycle.
Yeah, it's awesome. But if you're always, happy with what you do, and if you get up in the morning, it's like, yes, I'm really excited to be doing this, then that's going to come through in your videos, and people are going to keep watching because they're excited to see what you're doing next.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's it.
Does anyone else have any? Okay.
That was one long question.
That was one long question. Okay.
Well, let's keep it fresh.
Dan, you have a bunch of channels, a bunch of shows in your one channel, and I was wondering if you found that your audience gets used to the different numbers of all your different shows and perhaps learns to skip the ones they are not into, or do you find that you lose subscribers every time you upload the shows that perhaps aren't as popular?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't want to admit this, but every time I put up a video, I look at the subscriber count, and I can tell that now that YouTube makes it a lot easier to unsubscribe from channels. I do see a loss in it, but it's not really inhibiting me to, because for me it's not a subscriber game. It's just keeping yourself happy, and it is a subscriber game. But for me, I don't mind. I see like the subscribers lower every time I put out like a video that's not a Duncan Rocks video, and I just say it's okay. If people want to unsubscribe because of a certain video, or if it's too much, if I'm giving them too much, which I really don't. I try to upload like once a week, and with Duncan Rocks, it's definitely hard to do that just because of my schedule and Duncan's schedule, but. I do. It doesn't inhibit me from uploading other content on the channel, but I do see a loss in subscribers, and it's a risk having several different shows on a channel. So yeah, did I answer that correctly, or did okay? Cool.
If I can add quickly to that too, we've seen a lot of that because we have a few different shows on the main channel, and if it's not the microwave show, some people subscribe, and it's rare that they'll unsubscribe for the microwave show, but that happens as well because we have separate audiences and one core audience that likes everything. So I try to promote as often as I can and remind people that you actually have the option to subscribe individually to playlists or shows. You don't have to subscribe to the whole channel. You can subscribe to just Duncan Rocks if you wanted to. So I try to promote that option if possible whenever I can and remind people like, hey, it's cool that you don't like my other 8 shows. If you want, you can just subscribe to this one and then everybody wins. And you only see one thing in your news feed, and you don't have to bitch and complain when I decide to do a Hunger Games movie review next week. So it's
right. But it has to be a show, right? You have to.
You can do that with playlists. You can do that with playlists as well. You can subscribe to a playlist, and anytime you upload a new video, add to playlist. It'll get on their home feed that way.
That's why it's so important to just concentrate on making good stuff. Like whether anybody is watching it right now, doesn't necessarily translate to who's going to be watching it like a month from now. Just keep putting out awesome stuff and stuff that is awesome. And people are going to find it. Get out of here.
But yeah, so I hate to do this, but we've been given the wrap-up signal. We got 4 other panels to get to, but everyone, I saw hands up, and I don't want people to not have their questions answered, so please find these guys around. They'll be here all weekend, and make sure you get your questions answered. And big round of applause for our first panel.